Welcome back to the 1009 podcast. We got the whole house here with you tonight. We got me, Grayson, Jacob, and Beezy here to recap another great weekend of college football and NFL. How you doing, boys?
Pretty good.
We're doing well.
Better than Grayson. Better than Grayson. You know,
Two shots
basically
early. Okay.
yeah, we'll go ahead and start it. Basically, the entire Chargers franchise is down the tubes. You know, the long-term outlook now for them is bleak, to say the least. But you know, you got to rally around something really. And at least you got beat by a future Hall of Fame quarterback from first ballot. Unanimous inner circle type quarterback in Trevor Lawrence.
Can we say like 5-time MVP, 6-time Super Bowl champion?
I'd say 7-time MVP. Yeah, I'd say
More
7-time
rings than
MVP.
Brady.
No. I'd say more rings than Bill Russell. I'd say he wins at least 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say he wins at least 12. And that's not an overreaction, I don't think. I think I'm pretty conservative in my estimation in terms of Trevor Lawrence's career outlook. But yeah, that's where I'll stop it. Grayson, you got anything to add? I mean, you got beat by the future greatest player in all of sports.
There's no reason Herbert should have played. I'll leave that there till we get to NFL.
Yeah, that way you would have. Herbert wouldn't have played. You guys would have lost by 60.
That's fine.
Probably would have put him in the Hall of Fame after that game.
We could have lost 120-0 as long as Herbert's injury didn't get worse. That's fine.
I think Trevor.
It's week 3.
I don't think Trevor will ever throw for like 500 yards or 400 yards.
Or 300?
Every single game, he's going to be like 18 for 25 with like 260 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And
just the best completion rating
Yeah,
in
he's
like
gonna
all
make
of
the Hall
history.
Fame. But yeah, I mean that's just a little teaser for the NFL for those folks out there that love listening to it. Today's we'll get into that. Today's whatever this thing is called. Today's podcast is sponsored by these pair of pliers. These pair of pliers are the greatest thing going. They're made by Ace. They have a red handle with some black in there. 2 sizes, as all pliers do. And yeah, get them at your local Ace Hardware store. So yeah, boys, let's get into it. Beezy, we like to start off. We're college football people, more or less. Beezy, I want to get your take on the recent Clemson Tigers versus the Wake Forest Demon Deacons game. Just give us a quick synopsis of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and get us going.
I don't miss feeling the way that I did Saturday frequently. But I think
Run us through. How did you feel? No. Give us more.
it aged me.
Tell me more.
It aged
me.
Tell me more.
It aged. Would you say it ages you? Did it age you more or less than getting married to your first ever girlfriend?
Hey man, when you find
When
the
you know,
one,
you know.
Yeah, there you go.
No cap.
Go ahead. Give us your thoughts. You miss the feeling of anxiety.
I do not miss the feeling
Not
of
miss
anxiety.
anxiety. Give us
What
your
you
grade
saw.
by position.
Take us through your game day experience.
Quarterback,
watching Clemson.
Here,
quarterback.
Let's go one by
DBs,
one.
F.
All right,
Okay.
quarterback. What grade do you give? QB?
I would give
Start there.
quarterback A, easy.
Okay. How would he get to an A+? He threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns.
No picks.
Are we doing the plus system?
pick.
I'm
Yes.
doing just college system.
No,
so.
dude, Clemson's like the only college that just does the A.
It doesn't do half
Yeah.
grades. Yeah.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
Okay.
most schools do
Use half grades. Yeah.
Okay, well, I will do A+ for quarterback.
Okay.
I was just
don't
gonna
know
give him a
about
regular
that.
A.
Yeah, I would have given him
Yeah,
an A.
I
I would
mean,
have given
come
him a
on.
regular.
I
slow down
mean,
there.
Like, if you went 95.
how do you go from like what did he not do other than have a perfect completion percentage?
Well, perfect
100
is
rushing
actually
yards.
40
A+.
for 40, and he was not that. 2 of the touchdowns came in overtime. So technically only threw 3 touchdowns. Beezy, we're just
Only 3.
yanking on your chain, my bro. We're just freaking giving you some zazz, bro. All right. Anyways, A+ from Beezy for the QB. What about running backs?
We'll give him a B+.
What game were you watching, my boy?
Pull up
I
the
mean,
box score real quick.
it
Beezy.
was kind of more based off of. I'm being tough here, man.
The one Will Shipley run.
What
Yeah,
has Bill
B+
Shipley
is
ever done to
high.
you?
I don't know.
B+
that's
is high.
I
You
think it's
so?
high. I think it's high.
I mean,
The effort on the
Shipley,
TV was great. but-
Shipley,
B+.
that gave it. Shipley pushed it up a whole grade.
Shipley got that
level to
dog in
me.
him, baby.
He
Will
does.
Shipley is him,
Facts.
Yes.
and he is.
And the only other group that I'm going to grade is the cornerback.
No.
It's
We're
not
doing every
good
single
enough.
one. We're
Offensive
doing every
line.
single one. Offensive line.
O-line,
Yeah.
they gave DJ some time. I'll give him a C.
What about the run game?
I just said run game.
I bumped that. I know, but you got to factor in the offensive line, run and pass. I give him a D minus.
We had the co-offensive lineman of the week, back-to-back weeks.
Did we? Who was?
There we
this
go.
year?
Last week was
Mm,
Putnam.
fact.
This week was Jordan.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
false
tight
start
ends.
on the
Hey,
goal
tight
line.
ends. A.
I'd get
100%.
Specifically, which ones?
1009, son. Come on now.
There we go. Davis
Okay.
Allen. He deserves
Yes.
it.
Wide receivers, Beezy.
Receiver, I would give a B plus. Yeah, I mean they made DJ look good, so got to
That
give him.
Brandon
I don't know if
Speck
the
touchdown
receivers
was.
made DJ look good this past week.
I mean they actually caught his passes. So.
Okay, well that's the bar.
Well, that's like C. That's
Their
C level.
job.
But, I
They
mean,
they caught passes directly thrown into their head.
There were some jump balls that connected. I mean, there was.
yeah, there
There were a lot of
yes.
dots though. A lot of dots. Moving quickly on defensive line.
D line. C. I don't see how they couldn't get past the.
Because they had a lot of holding.
Brother, it's the slow mesh.
Yes,
slow
how
mesh.
could they with the slow mesh? How do you not get back to the quarterback and running back
Like,
more
the whole
often
point
than
of
they
like
did?
the slow
Hands
mesh is,
inside your
like,
shoulder
having a
pad,
good-
yeah.
well, it's
Even
also,
s-
like having a good offensive line. I think.
Well,
Just
it's having an
defensive
offensive line that is holding but doesn't get called. Was there 0 holding calls all game? Was that the stat that I saw?
Yeah, I mean, other than PI and like a couple false starts, I don't think there was really any
We had like 100 and something
120
penalties.
maybe.
Yeah.
Like
They had, like,
120. It was
40.
bad. Yeah.
Linebackers, BZ.
Linebackers, C as well. I mean, nobody on offense was our defense was better than average. They were either average or worse.
Tyler Davis was good.
Yeah, but balance that with the rest of the position
Sure,
group,
sure.
and you're
Secondary.
at a C.
Nate Wiggins, A+.
Secondary
The
The
F.
final one. F.
he
that play
said
they made
Wiggins
the
A plus. I mean, the interception still kept him at an F. So I mean,
What
or
interception?
What
not
interception?
interception,
You
but
mean the PB
deflection.
to end the game?
Deflection, yes.
Who, BZ? This is a new segment we got called "Whose Head is on a Stake." BZ, who are you firing this week?
Didn't you fire 2 coaches in the middle of the game? Was I incorrect
I
on
think
that?
so. Yes, I think so. I believe. I
Um,
probably also have fired 2 coaches during the game. So
You probably fired
Reed.
about 4.
Reed in particular.
what?
What?
You want to fire Reed?
Yeah,
Brother,
he's
he's
secondary,
produced
right?
like he's produced a first-round corner, 2 second-round corners.
They should be
DK.
defensive
God
players.
Teach
rest
your
his soul.
teach your cornerbacks to turn their heads, man.
For
Like,
context, 3 of
it's
them
not
were
that
freshmen
hard.
Saturday. So I think,
Yeah.
I
we give them a
mean,
little grace with
Beezy,
even
development there.
still,
Beezy,
I
you
mean,
don't think he has taught his quarterbacks to turn his back and run?
apparently
I
not,
think-
because I didn't see it once.
Like
Saturday.
50% of the PI calls were the ball was so underthrown that they had to come back to the ball.
The face mask coming back to ball was pretty bad, which, I mean, that was a lot of
Yeah,
it.
that Wiggins face mask was not great.
Sounds like a popular guy with Beezy. This Wiggins fella.
Hey man, I think he's gonna learn from it. So I lost my
Where
train
do
of
you
thought.
see us? Where do you see us at the end of the regular season now?
Got to think about this one.
Do you have to wait until after this
Full
weekend?
projection generally. Or yeah, if you want to just go 1 week in the future.
I
then yeah,
don't
how you think Saturday
know
goes?
if we're a playoff team.
I don't think Michigan's a playoff team.
We might be
Beezy,
ACC.
let me tell you this though. Let me tell you.
There are 3 playoff teams.
Okay, let me tell you this though.
Mhm.
3 out of our 4 starting secondary players were hurt last week.
Yeah, but do you know what our defensive rankings are right now?
Yes, I've seen the tweets, but once again, I should stress this, and I'm going to. 3 out of 4 of our starting defensive backs were hurt last week,
Mm-hmm.
And we're replaced by freshmen, like I mentioned.
who were
Mhm.
replaced by true freshmen.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So yes, the fact that we didn't give up more is, I mean, I don't know
Telling.
if encouraging is the right word.
I don't know. I don't think
But-
anything about last week's performance is encouraging. I think the only thing you
No.
can say is like we have our guys coming back. They look fine in the Georgia Tech game.
Yeah.
Well, does Georgia Tech? I mean, I think
Well,
Wake has a better.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I was going to say, I think Wake has probably one of the best receiving cores we're going to face this season.
Here's what I'll say to kind of wrap this whole thing up. We about to mess around and find out Saturday night, okay?
Yeah,
That's all we
big
got to
time.
say.
Game day.
We can
Primetime
speculate this
game.
a lot. But Saturday night, Clemson, South Carolina, Death Valley, 7:30 p.m.
Oh my gosh, they're top 10. I did not realize that.
Brother.
Yes, that's why.
Speaking of the kickoff time, Beezy, are you a fan of the night game?
Hold on. Let's talk about NC State.
No.
Okay.
What?
Fair.
Let's talk
One
about
question
NC
at a time.
State.
Yeah. Talk this Saturday.
Yes. I mean, I've only watched their game versus East Carolina, and they did not look
good.
impressive.
You're coming at this from a very clear perspective, then. Very unbiased. Go off, King.
I
Go
know,
off,
but
King.
like, how are they top 10 when they have no necessarily impressive wins?
Texas
Their
Tech.
quarterback's
Texas
pretty good.
Tech?
Texas Tech is a
Just
favorable
via
pick.
avoiding the chaos that's happened in front of them, I think. A lot like Oklahoma State, who's also up there
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
like a
I mean,
war of
it's not
attrition.
losing at this point. Yeah,
Kentucky's up
Yeah.
there. Tennessee's up there.
that's attrition. We'll talk about that later.
I mean, yeah, but Beezy, NC State's a good team, man.
I mean, their defensive front is their biggest
Their quarterback's pretty good.
strength.
I mean, I would
Okay.
say our defensive front is our biggest strength too.
I don't know, man.
DJ.
DJ.
Dude, I'm back. Dude, did I say this in the group chat? I think DJ's going to be a first-round quarterback.
After the game, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a first-round quarterback
Ooh.
this year.
Is
This
it?
year.
It's still a week by week basis though.
Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
Correct.
Right.
But after this past week, I think he's going to be a first-round quarterback.
If the draft was today,
If the draft was today, I'm taking
No.
DJ 9th overall.
if he's there with the Panthers, I'd
Facts.
take him.
Facts.
That's
That's
only the
called-
Panthers would do that.
How many
You ain't wrong.
QBs? How many QBs in the league have DJ's arm?
Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. I don't know if there's another one.
Rodgers, maybe.
Yeah.
Faltering.
Who else is in the league? Jameis obviously has got a rock.
Flacco, technically, for another 2
Flacco
years.
still has a freaking jet engine to his right shoulder.
Geno Smith.
Geno
Don't
Smith,
write back.
obviously. No, he's still writing those letters. But yeah, I mean, DJ's got all the intangibles, man.
Big Ben.
He still needs to slim down a little bit, but don't tell him I said that.
He lost 30 pounds. Come on now.
He's getting
He
there.
lost 30, but
Yeah.
he's still 270 or whatever. I don't know how much he is, but he's 270.
So
He's like Beezy when he was big man as Beezy. You know what I'm saying?
so
I
Yeah.
don't know if he's that big or not, but
Nah, yeah.
yeah, like we mentioned, game day this weekend in Death Valley. Probably going to be another hurricane coming through, but remember last time what
Yeah.
happened there. So
BYOG
Yeah, ask
would
Notre
be the
Dame
thing.
what happened last time.
ask
Fucking
Brian Kelly.
whatever came.
Scariest look
Ugh.
on his face. Fun game.
Just a dunce.
see, y'all disagree with me on the night game thing.
No,
Though?
night games are the best.
Am I just
Yeah,
old?
it's easy.
best.
What is this
Dude, we
old
could
man yelling from the
tailgate.
porch nonsense about hating night games?
Not all night games. I'm hyped that this weekend's game. is a
No,
night
you were
game.
not.
Agree. I don't think
I am not hyped that Boston College is a night game. Boston College is they suck.
It might just be the way the games are that weekend. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Yeah, but if you think about it, as far as Boston College goes, we're pretty much their game day Super Bowl since we're going up there. So I mean, I think for the fans that are there for a quarter or a half, that's going to be their circle the date
It's
game.
like,
Red bandana, probably.
I mean, we had to wait until 8 o'clock to watch Georgia Tech, who's awful. We had to wait.
That was
till
a
8
Labor
o'clock.
Day.
Well, even still, it was a night game. We had to wait
When
until
you're the best
8
team in the
o'clock
conference, that happens.
for Louisiana Tech. I feel like we've been more frequent on night games. this
I'll
year
give
than
you
we
We
have.
have been
Louisiana
for the
Tech
past like
slightly.
10 years.
But still.
Even still, like we always wanted more night games when we were in school, and I don't
Right.
think, and like we were at our best when we were in school, and I think they're more frequent now.
Well, the alternative is Miami, who just got beat by like 20 points by Middle Tennessee State. I think we're more likely to sit in these night slates.
Yeah, so that sucks. I don't feel like waiting until. I mean, Florida State. I hope that's a night game.
Go yell at
That'll be
go
nice.
yell at clouds.
I work and I wake up at 6 o'clock every day.
you
So
are an old man.
My body just doesn't do it no more. I'm up late tonight, boys.
It is
And it's 9:18
9:18 Eastern. Our
I
listeners.
know. I know.
Yeah, we were recording at 9 p.m.
The latest we've ever
Bailey,
had.
don't you have to wake up at like 5:30 or something?
Yeah, but I'm built different.
Facts.
reckon.
You got that dog in him, Beezy.
Yeah.
You ain't
Fueled
about
by
that life.
Dr. Pepper. He's fine.
That's true. That's true.
Speaking of dogs and defenses,
Oh.
what?
Georgia.
Yeah, I mean Kent State hung in there with them, and
That's twice now. We saw it with OU. I mean,
defense didn't look all that great, like everybody expects
no,
them
it
to.
didn't.
But
Nobody's
most
amazing this year. Nobody's elite.
we thought Georgia
right.
was elite.
They still might be.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they did hang in with Kent State with Oklahoma. It was 7-3 Sooners at halftime. We thought, okay, that's the one-off. Maybe not for Oklahoma, given what happened Saturday. But then they go to Athens and they do not the same thing, but pretty similar. It was a 17-point game when all said and done. I think it's 39-12 the final score. I mean, the 39 seems a bit low for Georgia, and I don't know what Kent State's team total was, but it surely was not double digits.
Yeah. That's just what I think. Was it a noon kickoff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we had those games against Furman and SC State like a couple
Oh, it
years ago.
happens,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't chalk it up to much of anything. I think they'll be
Troy, our freshman year, that
Yeah.
opener. Yeah. I mean, it's
they'll be fine.
yeah. I'm not worried about that.
But-
They do have
Mizzou,
Mhm.
yeah.
who should have another win, but don't know how to
That's
hold on to
gonna
a football.
happen. Let's save Brian Harson's moving costs for another week or two, maybe.
I was about to say.
Much more watchable SEC game though. Jerry World, A&M beat Arkansas. Arkansas had a field goal to win it, well within reasonable distance. It doinked off the top of the right upright, which I've never seen before. That was one of the more unexpected endings to games I think we've seen all year. I mean, Hail Marys, you at least set it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Arkansas high is now come crashing down. They get Bama this week, so it's gonna be another loss, and they all of a sudden you turn around, they're a 2-loss team. But it got us game day, so go Aggies.
I mean, a lot of people saw that coming because Arkansas's offense has not been all that great this year. They played a struggling Cincinnati, South Carolina. I forgot who they played Georgia Tech or no? Who they? That was Ole Miss. Played someone last week and they should have beat them bad, but didn't.
Missouri State, yeah.
I mean, KJ Jefferson, he's not great without Burks. I mean, all he can do is run. So
Right.
that offense is very one-dimensional when it comes to KJ Jefferson.
And A&M is by far the best defense they played. It's a top 10 scoring defense in the country. I mean, the offense, even with Max Johnson now at quarterback, still not great. But back-to-back weeks, we see they do enough to win ugly. They beat Miami 17-9, and another low-scoring game relatively. Jimbo off anyone's hot seat. I think even the more pessimistic people, I think he's fine now. Recruiting should hopefully maintain. And then
That running back they got is a stud. A Train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out
he's
to the boys.
so
Great
good.
TV show. He kept them in there. Then obviously the momentum shifter was that dive attempt, I guess you would say, by KJ, and then
Right.
basically scoop and score. But I mean, a lot that game's always crazy in Jerry World.
That's true too. We've seen some crazy things happen there. I'm not the biggest neutral site fan in the world, but that one, specifically the conference matchup, I thought it was pretty good showing again. These two teams have played close pretty much every year, and that ending pretty much fit the game. I mean, A&M had one of the weirdest scoop and scores I've ever seen. The guy was stopped, standing straight up, handed it to a teammate who ran it like 60 more yards with no whistle. That ended up being a touchdown for A&M. So
Yeah.
a lot of weird plays in that game, not to be outdone by the final play, which again
was
just
pretty
a
close
crazy
to
doink.
being forward progress. I thought it was when I watched. I
Right,
went back and watched it.
Yeah, you're waiting for a whistle, honestly. Everybody kind of stopped. The handoff happened. Couldn't really see it with where the cameras were, and all of a sudden there's a guy streaking the end zone all by himself, and there's no whistle, no flags, nothing.
Gotta let the play run out.
Right. Yeah, play to the whistle.
Do y'all think A&M looking ahead a couple weeks? I mean,
Nope.
what do we can't do
know.
that.
I know I know exactly what you're getting
Okay.
at. No,
If you're talking about the Tide, then no.
I am
Um,
talking about the Tide.
No.
They may have the defense make that interesting. They don't have the offense to win. I'll put it like that.
Okay, so we were talking about there's not an elite. I mean, I don't know if that was the word that we used, but like there's not a front runner. I mean, Bama has
I think
dominated
it's.
everybody
I'd still say the
except for
front runner is
Texas.
Georgia.
I think it's still
You think
Georgia.
Georgia over Ohio State?
Alabama hasn't.
Yes.
Alabama and
mean-
Ohio State, like, I mean, Notre Dame is good, not great. I mean, barely good after what they did to North Carolina,
They're
which
back
I wouldn't
to
even
decent.
I wouldn't even think that's great. And that's about all who Ohio State has played. That's worth it. I mean, Wisconsin's
They're
not a
not
thing.
playing anybody for a whole another month. They don't play Penn State till the 29th.
That's set up to be a really, really good game.
Yeah. Penn State's
Yeah.
going to sneak into the top 100, top 10. I just look at the face
They
of
really
the
They're in the
could.
top 100.
Um,
Penn State's done, yeah. I mean, Purdue, they play close, but
I mean, that's you can chalk
That's
that
the
up to
first week.
opening weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, conference opener, things happen.
But I've heard like Ohio State has basically the best athletes in almost every single position of any team right now. There's an argument for it.
I can see them having one of the best wide receiver cores when fully
Oh,
healthy.
absolutely. Yeah.
They got guys wearing Apple Watches playing.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy they got all the hype coming in, Jackson Smith and Jigba, when he's been in and out of the lineup, but I mean, he's hopefully going to be fine down the stretch, and those two alone, put them in any offense, they're going to be doing exceptional things. You got Stroud
Okay,
throwing to him.
here's a tweet.
I take
2022 Ohio State is 2019 LSU, and they haven't yet played with their number
No.
one wide receiver.
no. Who said
The
that?
last part of that makes that not true.
Walt Deptula.
Oh, that dude. is-
Don't follow him, Beezy.
What did he say? He said something this weekend. I forgot. I looked
Here-
away.
This was the tweet I was thinking of. He said Ohio State has the best quarterback in the nation, best pair of running backs, best wide receivers, and maybe the best O line. Good luck to everybody else.
Okay, and then they drop a Big Ten game in November, and then he deletes it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the most likely team to replicate what LSU did is Ohio State. But if they're not healthy and they're not clicking, then they're not LSU because that LSU team bulldozed
Yeah.
Everybody.
Well,
That's
with the
simple.
way I was just saying, with the way the season has started, yeah, you can't really count anybody. Like you mentioned, the default answer is Georgia, but you can't solidly commit to that with the way the
Right.
season has gone.
And a
for
month ago it was
everybody.
Bama and Ohio State, and then half a mile. And already in 3-4, it's been technically 5 weeks of football. Now it's one team in the top, and it's neither of the two teams we were talking about a month ago. So I think,
And then people
definitely
are
some
questioning that too now. But
right after again Kent State. Another one of those teams that might struggle to find check games. Been like I mentioned, they had Oklahoma pretty nervous, up 73 at halftime, and then they stick within 3 TDs of a Georgia team that has beaten a conference opponent by 100 points already. So
So y'all don't think Walt Deptula is knowledgeable?
No, he's knowledgeable, but I think for takes like that, it's
yeah,
September 26th. It's a little early for that.
comparing them to the greatest offense that we've seen in
Right.
Ever.
just about pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on the same team.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who starts
Joe
for-
Burrow.
Burrow.
Get out of there, Walt.
Yeah, no way.
Right.
So
I forgot they beat us as bad as they did, 42-25.
should have
I think
been
I just-
Google that,
we
Beezy.
had.
I erased that one out of my memory.
We'd run the ball maybe, but yeah.
That third quarter killed us.
I feel like yeah, that game was close for the first half at least. And
we were
then-
leading.
Yeah, I mean,
we were up. Oh yeah.
I don't know. After that game, I don't know why we're talking about it now.
Oh yeah.
I felt like we could have won it with some sort of coaching change, like scheme change or something, but
we can't do
I
that
don't
in that
know.
game.
Mm-mm.
We don't have the capabilities.
You don't think so?
No. But yeah. Some other games. I mean, USC got through another trap game. This was
Yeah.
a little more of a
defense went
trap
on
than
one.
anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think some betting dynamics played into that. I think Oregon State had more money on them than any other NFL team this weekend. I mean, just really, really heavy money on them, and it proved to be right. I think they're undefeated against the spread in Corvallis since the start of last year, and they might not have seen an offense this prolific in that time, but they could have cared less on Saturday. You saw Caleb Williams limited. I mean, I said it was going to cover Jordan Addison for 3 hours, and they found somebody because he didn't really do anything. They won 17-14. If you told me that was the final score, I would have told you Oregon State definitely won that game. And so, a missed field goal affects that a bit. But Southern Cal won a game with defense, and that's something that was a big question mark. If they don't score 40, are they going to win? And we saw it, hostile territory. Those students got up, got out. That stadium was rocking all night. And, they were honestly fortunately come away with that win.
Yeah. I think they're a good team. They're not a great team. It's first year of Lincoln Riley. Caleb Williams, obviously, he looks good. Didn't have the best of best games. You can't really have your best game when it's a 17-14 win, but this season a win's a win. So,
right. How many times have we seen like Oregon teams in the past go out to these games, road Pac-12 games, and lose, and all of a sudden they go from fast track to the playoff to can we even make the Pac-12 championship game? So it's common theme in the Pac-12, and USC, to their credit, has now gone into Stanford and into Oregon State and come away with wins in both.
Yeah. What are they at? 7, 6, 5th, or 5th? 6 or 7?
Yeah.
6th.
I think
they're getting up there. Someone will slip up. They'll probably sneak in and they get blown out in the playoffs. That's how all the Pac-12 teams do.
When's the last time a Pac-12 team? When was the last time a Pac-12 team was in the playoff or in the playoff?
Washington
in 16, they got shut out by Alabama.
Oh God.
Yeah. And before that, it was Oregon.
Oregon, who got? Well, they dominated Florida State.
They won the first one.
Yeah,
they blew out Jameis.
Yeah. I remember that one. What was I gonna say?
Yeah, where game day was last week, Knoxville, Tennessee honestly tried to put that game into dangerous territory, but they did come away with a win. Florida scored twice in the last 5 minutes. One was 12 seconds left and onside and a knee, and that pretty much ended that. We saw flashes of good Richardson, but clearly not enough. They very easily could have lost that game by 2 touchdowns, but like I said, some late heroics that fell short ultimately. But Hendon Hooker got it done. All he had to do really was be the best player on the field, and I think he did that again. We said it for Pitt, and this game, the same thing applied, I think, and he came through again. So I don't know about the Heisman buzz now, just because I guess I'm just not as high on Florida as I am with some people. Now, in 2 weeks when they play Alabama, we're going to find out if he deserves to be in the conversation or not pretty quickly. But Tide head up to Knoxville.
Their defense is going to need a little bit of fixing.
Because
their offense has won just about every game except for the 2 Ball State and whatever the last one was, whatever blowout that was. Because when they played Pitt, it was like overtime. Defense tried to let Florida back in it this week. There was turnovers left and right. Crazy game. Lived up to the hype. Atmosphere that was insane up there in Knoxville. I wish our Knoxville correspondent was capable of talking at the moment, but a big win for Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's fair to say they're firmly at number 2 in the East right now behind Georgia. They haven't seen Kentucky yet, obviously, but Kentucky beat Northern Illinois by 8 at home in a really uninspiring game this past Saturday. So I think right now, take a snapshot of the East, I would have to put the Volunteers behind Georgia.
Yeah, I agree. Until Kentucky and Tennessee play.
Right. This week Kentucky gets Ole Miss, who also had a really uninspiring win Saturday. Students cleared out like the plague. Like I saw bleacher shot with like 200 kids, and there's space for like 1,200. So I think Lane Kiffin might need to inject some more excitement in the program. But in a place like Ole Miss, that's going to happen pretty quickly with Kentucky coming to town this week. So expect a rebound there. And I really couldn't tell you who wins that game. Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, Levis at Kentucky. So, it should be another good quarterback matchup in the SEC.
Yeah. Speaking of good quarterbacks and matchups, like we spoke earlier, we spoke heavily on Clemson, but Wake Forest did just about everything they needed to on offense until the end to beat us.
They're going to be fine.
Yeah. And with it being a close game like that going into overtime, I did not expect them to drop much, and they didn't. So,
no, they shouldn't have, honestly.
Like we said, that was a pretty loss, I guess you say. a tough one to
absolutely,
swallow, but a pretty loss.
Right. I mean, that's one of the bigger games in the recent history of their program, even last year. They came to Clemson and couldn't get it done. And this year was a lot more excitement. Got Hartman back, obviously, the receivers like Beezy mentioned. And that's about as close as you can cut it, honestly, to pulling the home upset there. So, if they're 3-1, they're going to be fine. With the way the ACC is constructed for another year, probably won't see them in Charlotte. But I think, if they keep this trajectory going and we move to divisionless football in the ACC, that they could be firmly in that top tier or that first chase group if we keep things going in the ACC going forward.
Yeah. So,
where do you think their receiving core falls in the ACC?
Wake Forest?
Yes.
After Saturday, I mean,
number one.
Yeah.
One?
I think
Yeah. I mean, they got one of the best wide receivers in the nation with AT. Those two other dudes were all over us, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
again,
you can't really pick three other guys that look better than that group right there.
No, not right now, at least. No, I think it's fair to put them. I mean, yeah, top of the conference. I think is pretty fair.
Mm-hmm.
With Addison not in Pitt, obviously that helps too. But
Yeah. I mean, Florida State, they got a couple guys. The way they look right
scared
now.
of that game now. I don't want to go. Yeah, I think we're in Tallahassee this year too.
We
No.
are. Yep.
Yes.
We're not.
Yeah.
Yes,
we?
yes, we are.
No, we are.
We're in Tally.
I'll tell you what, Jordan Travis is playing some really good ball down there in Tallahassee. Hopefully they get a game in this weekend with the weather. But
Yeah, Norvell got them rolling.
They're ranked for the first time since the preseason poll in 2018. Norvell came in and it took a minute, especially by the standards of a program as elite as Florida State. But he's got them playing pretty good football. They sit at 4-0, along with us and NC State matching up Saturday, and then Syracuse is 4-0 as well. So
which is it's good to see a school being patient with a coach.
Right. I think the leash shortened from 5 years to 2 years over the course of 18 months. Maybe like one off season, and so I think it's good to see, especially programs of Florida State's caliber, that we've seen similar programs like Tennessee and others, that for different reasons cut bait really, really quickly. But it's good to see a guy get off to a slow start by Florida State standards, certainly, but he's built them up, and here they are at 4-0.
I think they kind of realized what Willie Taggart left them, and they kind of had a general understanding that this might take a year or two or three. So they're right there at it.
Right. I mean, if you really want to build something up, it's not going to happen in 1 or 2 years, especially if you want it as sustainable as the run they had prior to a couple of coaches ago. So,
yeah,
I mean, they're going to have their first real test Saturday. So we shall see how they. I mean, LSU's okay, but like they're not.
An away game at Louisville.
Yeah,
I mean, what's Louisville?
I might be giving Louisville a little bit too much credit. They're 2-2.
I would say it's a Friday game. Like
Boston College is not good
they are
at
bad
all.
now.
Yeah,
yes.
They have worse O-line in the nation, maybe.
So we shall see if they continue to. I mean, they have a really tough 3-game stretch with us being the third game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that turns out. But I'm excited to have, that competitor, Florida State, to be back as a contender every year because, it makes things exciting.
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll see that until we're in double OT again.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's got plenty of competitors this year. I mean, NC State's obviously everybody knows that top 10 in the rankings. Then Syracuse up there in North Carolina, New York. I mean, they're
Syracuse always.
Sean Tucker.
I don't want to say they always give us problems, but I feel like Syracuse has.
They have in the past. I
Yes,
guarantee that.
They tend to do that to us every couple of years. So
It's up in Syracuse. No, it's at Clemson. I'm going to that game. I knew that.
Yeah.
I don't remember. No, I do. Okay. Anyway, yeah. But I mean, with that Syracuse though, they're 4-0, but Sean Tucker is not Sean Tucker this year.
No, not yet. And that's you could look at it glass half full, glass half empty, but half full is they're 4-0 without him being the one that's dragging them to wins like we've seen in the past. I mean, Garrett Schrader's looking good enough to win games up there in his first year. They moved on from Tommy DeVito. So,
there we go.
changing the guard at quarterback there, but 4-0. We might not balk much at that here at Clemson, but for Syracuse, that's huge. And so hopefully they get Tucker going and they can keep rolling.
And the formerly known as Carrier Dome. I forgot what they changed it to.
Something stupid. It's the Carrier Dome still.
On the flip side, there is
Yeah,
some bad.
We'll keep this brief, but the U, you can't spell awful without U, and they are awful.
Yeah.
I know they didn't have Xavier Restrepo again, but they hosted Middle Tennessee State, who's coming off 3 weeks ago getting destroyed by James Madison, and they could have lost by 30 points.
They were put on a highlight reel.
They gave up 45 points to Middle Tennessee State at home, and there were less than 45 people left to watch that game end.
And benched.
Right.
What's his face?
Tyler Van Dyke, the Heisman sleeper, the guy's going to win them the conference, all this. Well, now it's garbage, but I think preseason it was fair. A lot of hype and a program, again, trying to be back on the rise like Florida State. But this team just sucks. I don't know how else to really say it. I mean, they go into College Station, a tough place to win, and score 7 points. And they come back home and they get boat raced by a team they probably paid $1 million to show up and play. So I don't know if it's not the only low point in this program lately, but it might be one of the lowest given the hype that was finally surrounding that team. I mean, they're favored to win the Coastal, second best odds to win the ACC, and here they are with back-to-back losses out of conference, to be fair. But I mean, Middle Tennessee State's unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you expect a lot more after that Texas A&M game, and they just did not whatsoever.
No, like it's a perfect bounce back spot, and they just got embarrassed.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of getting embarrassed, I mean, North Carolina is just that defense is embarrassing.
Yeah. Thanks for playing dream season. Them and Duke both getting their first loss on Saturday. Now Duke went on the road to Lawrence and lost by a touchdown. North Carolina, Gene Chizik, why in the hell does he have a job as we sit here on Monday night? That's embarrassing. Notre Dame, 55 points in 3 games. They're rolling to Chapel Hill Saturday, and they score 45, I think it was, and they could have scored 70 if they wanted to. Drew Pine, second start, beat Cal last week in a close one, and they came in, and they absolutely rolled North Carolina. He had 289 yards and 3 TDs. The team ran for 287 on the ground. Are you surprised by this at all, Beezy, from North Carolina?
I mean, I feel like that's another team that's recently, they get some hype because of Mac Brown, and I mean, just the offensive weapons that they're supposed to have, and they never show up. But I mean, they're 3-1. Are they a bad 3-1? Arguably, yeah. But I mean, they're still winning games.
Yeah, Drake May and Josh Downs can bring them to some special places that might just not be this year.
Mm-hmm.
How surprised are you about this turnaround from Notre Dame, though, seemingly in a week, coming off a 24-17 win at home against Cal to go on the road and put up almost 50 points?
I mean, I don't know. Like, you never know what to expect with Notre Dame, but that's just a testament to UNC's lack of defense, I think, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
I don't really put too much stock into it just because I don't feel like Notre Dame. I mean, you get beat by Marshall. I don't know.
Right.
You barely beat Cal. You're just not a great team.
Right. I mean, I think, games like this happen with, teams in down years. They kind of just snap out of it and they go out and they just destroy somebody. That's what happened Saturday. Now, that is certainly not going to be a guarantee to happen going forward. This team is not just fixed. They still have a lot of issues.
I mean, we'll see how they play against BYU. BYU's not bad. BYU's doing pretty good.
That game. I'll tell you right now, they're not.
I mean, I wouldn't expect that. I'm just curious to see how they perform.
Yeah. Right. As far as a chance to repeat the performance, you're absolutely right. That's going to be a really big test.
Yep.
Guys who are actually fired: Georgia Tech, Jeff Collins out, AD out. They lost 27-10 at UCF. Could have been worse. They actually punched a scoop and score out at the 1 through the back of the end zone. That was a pretty cool play. Kids out there still giving effort, but the post triple option era has not been kind to Georgia Tech, and Jeff Collins was the man at the helm, so he gets the boot. Athletic director as well. There's some rumors they're going after Graham Neff. I would be absolutely stunned if that happens. But
yeah,
are you surprised he is this quick, Bailey?
I figured if not now, in a couple weeks, he would have been gone. Neff, he is a Georgia Tech graduate, which
Right.
we saw that with Radakovich, but he just got the job at Clemson. So I don't know necessarily how. I mean, obviously, money talks, and Atlanta. The resources are there. But yeah, it was overdue for Georgia Tech to get rid of Collins. He has not done anything since getting there except for wearing a vest on the sideline. So that's all about he's known for. And the 404 or whatever he says.
Talent and spots never came together to amount to much of anything in the ACC or beyond. I mean, losing non-conference games is nothing new to them either in recent history. So I can't say I'm too surprised either. I thought maybe Harsin was the next to go, but they got a fluke win Saturday, so who knows what that team's going to do with him. But yeah, I think it was inevitable. He wasn't going to last. I don't think much of the postseason, which they were not going to be involved in at all. So
no,
yeah.
You really think they're going to pursue Neff? I mean, they might pursue.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, pursue absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think he's
now
going to bite
acquire or no, they're not. I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, why? I mean, alumni ties are strong, but you're at a school who values sports, comparing a school who simply they don't. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if you want to compare facilities, it's not close. You want to compare, just about
any
anything
aspect
else.
of the athletics, it's not even in the same field. But I mean, he would want to go there and kind of drive that initiative. But I mean, I don't know.
That's a lot to undertake, though.
That is a
compared to
huge
what he's doing
undertaking.
now. That's
yes. Yeah. And he's been at Clemson for how long?
Years.
10 years.
He's been
Yeah.
He's been there a while. I think envisioning this opportunity, and he rightfully got it. He deserved it, and so I think he a little too soon for another move. Honestly, we saw Michigan in the Big House. They employed a strategy of playing just horrible teams for a month, and then they got Talia Tagovailoa in the Big House, and they about messed around and got beat. I will say Maryland scored very late to make that a 1 TD game instead of 2, but I mean that Maryland team, I had that on mute a lot of the day, but even when I was locked in, only game on, it was that Maryland team's not afraid of anybody, not Michigan, anybody else in the Big Ten.
Not Buffalo, not Charlotte, not SMU.
No, I mean, again, maybe not the most, not a juggernaut schedule for them either, but they're not ranked number 4 in the country.
That's very true. I mean, yeah, they one touchdown game with the number 4 team in the country. Yep.
Right. I think I think it's pretty lost territory for Mike Locksley in Maryland, but I'm telling you that Maryland team, they are a lot better than people think. I think Penn State's getting a lot of the credit, and they deserve to, as far as danger in the Big Ten. But I mean, if you're going to Maryland, good luck.
Yeah, they're a feisty team. I
think they have what are the chances they're ranked into the season?
Maryland?
Yep.
End of the season? I don't know. At some point, I would say absolutely.
Yeah. At some point, they'll get ranked, but I don't know if they end the season because they still got to play Penn State, Ohio State.
That's November 12th and November 19th. Everybody else is, I mean, they finished with Rutgers. And they got Wisconsin, Northwestern, Indiana.
They get
Purdue.
Michigan State at home this weekend. I think that's a win, the way that team looked. Purdue at home, that's probably another win. At Indiana, I would give them a win there. And they get Northwestern at home before a bye. So, I mean, at worst, I think they go 3-1, which would put them at 6-2 going into a bye. So I think they're ranked at that point.
Yeah.
Now, coming out of it is when the problems start. They go to Wisconsin. That team's never easy to beat. I don't care how down they are. I mean, Ohio State made it look easy, but Ohio State's the class of the Big Ten right now, I think. They go to Penn State. They get Ohio State at home. They're probably going to lose both of those games. And they finish up with Rutgers. So I think, 8-win ceiling, and that's worthy of being ranked towards the end of the year.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, Ohio State being the class of the Big Ten, I mean, it kind of showed this weekend with the Michigan finally playing someone and having to have a dogfight. So I think a lot of people are getting caught up in the hype with Michigan scoring a lot of points against all these no-name teams, UConn, whoever else they play.
Hawaii, I don't buy it. I mean, Brandon Walker earned the wrath of that fan base for pointing out just blatant facts. But I mean, Portnoy is the man in charge, and he's a Michigan guy, so obviously that's just going to happen. But yeah, I mean, they talked all this noise about how this team was elite no matter who was in front of them, and they didn't look very elite on Saturday. I mean, obviously, if you want a final score watch, Ohio State destroyed a seemingly down Wisconsin team that's already lost to Washington State at a conference. But, I mean, to their credit, they handled business. I mean, I think Maryland's definitely better than Wisconsin, but they're not that far off. And those two scores are about 40 points off. So you got to give the Buckeyes credit there.
Yep. Speaking of credit, Kansas State.
I don't know what in the world is wrong with Oklahoma when they play them, but that is the third time in 4 years Kansas State has beaten Oklahoma. I think they've been 2, 3, 4 touchdown underdogs every single time. Doesn't matter if it's Norman or back at their place. They just have their number. It happened with Lincoln Riley. We see Brent Venables in his first game against them. It happened again.
Yeah. And I was listening, couldn't remember if it was Unnecessary Roughness or whoever, but they were saying that was kind of like a Lincoln Riley game where defense just wasn't playing well. Saying it was like still those guys from the Lincoln Riley era, and I know that game is just, it's probably eating Venables alive knowing that the defense didn't play well.
Right. I mean, that's a pretty improved unit to this point in the season to see him go out and just lay an egg like that. I mean, it might be psychological at this point. I mean, like I said, 2 of the last 3 years going in, they had lost. So some of those guys still around with how eligibility is these days with COVID and everything. So, it might have been a bit between the years, but you're right. That defense just did not look good at all. And, Kansas State, a sexy pick to win the Big 12. I never really bought it as much as maybe Jacob did, but coming off the loss to Tulane definitely didn't help. And that pretty much had everybody writing them off. And then they turn around and show you exactly why they had some of the buzz they did preseason. So I will give them credit there. One of the bigger bounce backs across college football to go from losing in a non-conference game in embarrassing fashion to turn around and knock off a top 10 team in your conference at their place. They were in Norman for this game. So
yeah,
really impressive win by Kansas State.
Yeah, big win for them.
What does the rest of Oklahoma's season look like to you?
I will say we're going to find out Saturday who the best team in the Big 12 is, because another team who's been getting a lot less of the flack but has a lot more of the same quality schedule-wise as Michigan is Oklahoma State. And they head to Baylor Saturday, and that's going to be a ranked matchup that a lot of people are going to have eyes on as far as the hierarchy in the Big 12 is concerned. And so I think we're going to find out pretty quickly what this Oklahoma State team is going to look like the rest of the season, because this is miles ahead of any competition they face this year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at Oklahoma's schedule, though. They play Baylor November 5th. Their November is difficult. I mean, Texas always is a tough game for them as well.
They'll have Ewers back as well, so that game is completely different. Yeah.
Oh, crap. Yeah, that could be that'll be a tough game for them for sure. Right. I mean, at least it's at home, but
I think that'll be neutral site in the Cotton Bowl, but yeah. That's always one of the better games of the football season. Yeah, they pushed that one out just because of how big that game is. The Red River shootout, but you can't call it that anymore. So it's the Red River, what is it, rivalry now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, whatever you call it. It's one of the better games of the football season. And, it'll be in the Cotton Bowl. But there's going to be a lot of Texas Orange in those stands, I guarantee.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, yeah, I mean, Venables, you got to give him some time to get his roster set up,
Oh, absolutely.
So he's doing really good for what he's got right now, and that's a lot more responsibility as a head coach and having to worry about all of the other logistics of heading up a team.
Absolutely. I think it helps to have Texas have all this hype and expectation. It kind of takes a little bit of heat off them. Obviously, Baylor, Oklahoma State played for the conference title last year, so that's 2 more teams that, a lot less turnover with coaching, things like that. Both got quarterbacks back. So, yeah, it kind of helps Oklahoma's a bit out of the spotlight. I mean, some people were thinking maybe an upset with Nebraska. They beat them 49-14. So, but, no team's immune to games like they had Saturday. It happens all across the country every week, and it just happened to be the Sooners on Saturday.
Yep.
Last college game I think we'll cover, Bo Nix and Oregon. Credit to Bailey for the over. They had 80 points total. I mean, that game looked like a bit of a slow pace, and it just absolutely exploded. Oregon scored minute left, and then turn around and get a pick six off Washington State, who then drove down the field and scored at the buzzer for the backdoor cover for people watching for that reason. But yeah, 3 TDs in the last 90 seconds of that game. A game in which Oregon found themselves down 12 with under 5 minutes left, and they almost won by double digits. So, I mean, that's these Pac-12 games we keep talking about, these shootouts. That was certainly one of them on Saturday. But, I mean, credit to Nix and Oregon to getting another win after, we all saw them get embarrassed to open the season against Georgia, but here they are just proving that, that Georgia game does not speak for the team as a whole and what they're capable of on the season.
Yeah, they're fighting. It's looking like it's probably going to be a collision course of Oregon and Southern Cal for that conference. So, do they? I don't think they play in the regular season, do they?
They play Utah. I do know that.
Okay. So,
as far as Oregon and USC goes, they do not play the regular season now. But they have a big date at home against Utah November 19th before they head to Corvallis for their own matchup against Oregon State. So, and then they get Washington at home before that. So, pretty challenging November for them, starting with Colorado, but then getting into just a gauntlet out west. So, again, we've kind of seen the response to the Georgia game. They got 3 straight wins. They beat BYU at home, obviously win a thriller Saturday on the road. So, if they can keep pace there, then those last 3 games in November could very well decide who plays for the conference championship.
Yeah, it'll be competitive between two teams.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, there were still upsets this weekend in college football. Nothing crazy like past couple weeks. I mean, Miami obviously, but still, right. I mean, college football is college football. So,
how about App State?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
No. Okay. Friend of the podcast, Chase Bryce. They're going to be fine. Just, tough loss for them. Had a big early lead. Scored, I think it was 3 or 4 times in like 7 minutes off of some turnovers from JMU and just couldn't get the offense going in the second half. And yeah, like I said, they're going to be fine. Early conference loss for them. They've got a whole lot in front of them, starting with Citadel this weekend and a bounce back spot at home, and they get into the real depth of that Sun Belt schedule. And yeah, but I think we'll look back on this in about a month and think it's just one of those things that can happen to teams during the season. We've seen it with, the nationally relevant schools, Power 5 and stuff like that. I mean, just this weekend with Oklahoma. So, yeah, they're going to be fine. I really do think that.
Yeah.
So, I think that's about it for Saturday. I mean, I know we talked about it. I mean, first game of the no, it wasn't. I'm still in last week's schedule, thinking Chargers played on Thursday, but what was it Thursday? Oh, it was Steelers Browns. That was.
Yeah, but that's a game to forget. To be fair.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, first game we got on here is Bills Dolphins. I mean, I thought it was going to be a shootout. I had the over in it, but it was still a very competitive game.
It had all the elements of the game of the week, just not the points that a lot of people expected. I mean, the Bills did have some injuries in the secondary. They had 3 or 4 guys out. Jordan Poyer, chief among them. They had another guy. They had 2 or 3 DBs hurt as well. So
I didn't realize that Josh Allen was literally the Bills' entire offense.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. In that game,
the case all season.
Right. 63 pass attempts and the most rushing yards on the team.
Yeah, those players were exhausted. It was about 100 degrees in the field, and that was pretty evident late. We saw Stephon Diggs take a knee multiple times trying to catch his breath and get some energy for that last-ditch effort on the drive to win the game, unfortunately. Josh Allen bounced a pass to Isaiah McKenzie in the end zone. It was a little late, looked like a little hesitation there, but yeah. But then Miami turned around and kicked it off the dude's butt, so they got the ball.
The new butt fumble.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez off the hook, and also last night Dan Orlovsky in that atrocious Sunday night game that had so much hope for. But
do you see Christian Wilkins?
I did. And I'm not surprised by it, and I hope he wasn't surprised by the reaction to it, because that's just
I mean, technically, there's nothing in the rule book about it, but it's still that's just a weird move.
But
it's just a weird move.
I hadn't actually
we can give him credit
I'm curious.
in that
I mean, I know exactly what you're talking.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about, but I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, he did similar things to Josh Allen, and he got his helmet ripped off for it. Which, if you're gonna do that to a quarterback, maybe not one of the bigger ones in the league, in Josh Allen, who's
Yeah,
not
come
gonna
on,
take that
Christian.
from anybody. Yeah, I mean, it's the stuff that happens in piles we don't see. Just with Christian, it seems to happen outside of the pile, and it gets noticed, and then
Yeah.
him and Josh Allen jawing back and forth, which yeah, just added to the game as a whole. Just feeling like a playoff atmosphere, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned a big win for the Dolphins. I mean, who would have thought they were going to be 3-0 to start the season? Tua's playing pretty well right now, even though he probably should not play next week. But that's a different story.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Clemson football legend Hall Morton, who unfortunately had a really bad concussion during practice one day and walked off the field just like that. And unlike Hall Morton, Tua returned to play that day, and that might end up being. It wasn't quite Tom Savage bad. I don't know if you guys remember that back when Deshaun was still behind him in Houston, but I mean, they
It's not
likened it
ideal.
to a back issue. I don't believe that for a second. I realize there's a lot that goes into player safety and things like this, and they got people up in the booth and all that stuff. But when you have those safeguards in place and a guy stumbles off the field like that and comes back, 25 minutes later?
Yeah.
I just don't know how that happens, honestly. And hopefully he's okay, but it looked really, really bad on Sunday.
Yeah, but I mean, he did what he had to do. He got them the win, so they're number one team in the AFC.
Yeah. And, I mean, they have the lead in that division, and we mentioned it Thursday. I mean, the Dolphins the Bills had a just absolute golden chance to really put their foot down and say, this is our division. We don't care who comes in here, what receivers they have, what they did last week, things like that. And to their credit, they got it done and they lead that division and now the AFC as a whole. So I think the sky's the limit for this Miami team. If they can keep the offense clicking and the defense does enough to keep it close like it did on Sunday.
Yeah. And I think the Bills will be fine.
Yeah, they should have had 3 before the half, and they should have had 3 at the end of the game. They just mismanaged both. Isaiah McKenzie, I think it was, trying to get out of bounds to end the game. A lot of tired legs out there. Like I said, it was about 100 degrees in the field, and you could see it pretty clearly the way the players looked, especially in like those last minutes where just everything turned into chaos. And so, yeah, this game down the road when they meet up again is going to be incredible too.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned it earlier. I know you don't want to get into it more.
That's fine.
Chargers obviously lost to the Jaguars. I mean,
yeah,
added more insult to injury with Bosa and Slater getting hurt. Slater's obviously out for the season. What is it? Torn pec, torn tricep, or
ruptured bicep tendon? Yeah, he is done for the season.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because he's one of the best young, if not best, left tackles in the league.
Yeah, him and Penei Sewell, I think, are the class of the young crop as far as left tackle. But I mean, he was rookie All-Pro. Sucks to lose him. Joey Bosa, top 5 his position. He's week to week. We probably won't see him the rest of this month, which I guess is 1 week. So hopefully get him back within 2, 3, 4 weeks, somewhere in there. Jalen Guyton, our burner receiver, who gotten pushed out of the offense a bit by DeAndre Carter, but he tore an ACL late in that game. So he's obviously done for the season as well. Kenneth Murray, linebacker, went down. And before the game, we were without Keenan Allen, Corey Linsley, best center in the league, and J.C. Jackson. So I didn't have high hopes for this game, just obviously because Herbert was not healthy. Did look healthy the entire day. And he played every snap because
why not?
Apparently he wanted to be with his team. But I think why I hire coaches if they don't know the word no. I don't know how he's cleared by the training staff because it's more than pain management at that point. I mean, the re-injury risk there is pretty big, especially at that position. He got hit in a first down with 4 minutes left, down 28 points. And I don't think I took a breath for like 4 minutes, just making sure he was not literally dying on the field.
You were breathing for him or letting him breathe for you.
He weathered that, no punctured lung, anything terrible like that. He had 10 days to recover. You mentioned we played last Thursday against Kansas City where he hurt his ribs initially, got it out through that game, but he shouldn't have played. I don't care. He didn't want to abandon his team. I mean, if he is there for his team this week, he hurts it worse, then he's going to have to abandon his team for who knows how long. So I don't know. I personally wouldn't have played him. I think you're sacrificing or potentially sacrificing the 14 games we had after Sunday for one. It was a non-division game. the Chiefs and Raiders both lost. So, I mean, not that you want to start scheming like that, but I mean, to look around the league and see that, two teams you're supposed to be competing with both lost. I mean, Denver got a win, but it's week 3. I don't think you risk the future of the franchise against the Jaguars, who were going to be a better team. We saw it last week. We certainly saw it this week. But I mean, it's week 3. I think it was ridiculous that he shouldn't have played, especially it was 38-10. He went there with 5 minutes left and led a drive down the field and played every snap on offense. I think it's one of the stupidest decisions that we've made recently. That's saying a lot.
Yeah. So unfortunate game. Didn't want to add any more injuries, but obviously that happened. But I mean, you mentioned Chiefs losing. Helped you out a little bit, not too much,
right.
but
And just real quick, I rattled off all the injuries and stuff like that. Trevor Lawrence played his ass off.
Yeah.
I don't think you take away anything from that performance. James Robinson had a day, 50-yard rushing TD in there somewhere. That Jaguars team is going to be a lot better than people thought. We really found out last week and they beat Indy 24-0. But yeah, that's just me being a bitter Chargers fan. Trevor Lawrence played exceptionally well. He did what he had to do, against some backups, but that's still NFL talent out there. So yeah, Jaguars stock up to say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chiefs just the end of that game. I don't know if you caught it. Matt Amendola, who has been released as of 2 hours ago.
Really?
Yeah. He missed a 34-yard field goal. He missed an extra point. They had a field goal fake on 4th and 10 that looked like maybe the worst fake since that McAfee play that they snapped for some reason.
Yeah, that fake punt or whatever they had.
Right. And then, Indy had the ball late, about 5 minutes to go. There's a 3rd and medium, and, they get a sack. And that would have set up Indy with a 4th and 14 on their own 31, but they drew a taunting flag, for which I think was one of the worst calls I saw this weekend. It must have been a buzzword type deal because there was no hand gesture, no dancing, nothing. It was just John with Matt Ryan getting up from the pile, which, I mean, how many times did Brady do that last week without a flag against New Orleans? I think we see it all the time. I know you had them in a pick, so I felt bad for you. I don't know if you caught that live.
It's just another NFL loss for me, so I'm just chalking it up.
Yeah, I think the taunting flags in general are stupid, especially in this spot. I mean, to be fair, it didn't cost the Chiefs the game. They would have the ball back with 5 minutes and had to burn time. They had so many special teams mistakes that led them to where they were, and they still had a chance to get stuff on defense. But as a Chargers fan, I was fine with it. But, it was that bad late where I thought that flag was pretty unwarranted.
Yeah. I was just annoyed. I would expect a lot more out of the Chiefs. We obviously saw Mahomes and Bieniemy get into it going into halftime.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And then I think it was LaShawn McCoy came out and said this is why Bieniemy is never going to get a head coaching job.
Right, yeah, he was sounding off on Twitter. I think he quote tweeted a video of that exchange going to the locker room. I think in general, those things happen. They've always happened. We just have 94K cameras all over the place now. So
yeah,
it's going to be caught a lot more. Yeah, Beezy, what do you think there with the AFC West and how that's shaking out so far?
I mean, definitely surprising this weekend. I mean, I never would have expected, a team that just got beat 24-0 by the Jags, who, like we said, they're looking better than expected. But
right,
how does the Colts beat the Chiefs, who are supposed to be this incredible team,
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Chargers, you've got all of your injuries, unfortunately. So, I mean, Denver, I don't even know. I know they won, but how?
It was 11-10 last night.
Yeah.
You missed that game. Good for you. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that game. We're skipping over that one.
Yeah,
Raiders.
The Broncos won. It was ugly. The Raiders are 0-3.
Yeah, Raiders are just awful. So this division that we thought was going to be pretty solid, it's surprising through 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, I led that train. I was like, best division in football, forget it. Who would you put in that slot now, given what we've seen from the AFC West so far?
Best division?
Yeah.
AFC
North?
I don't
almost
know.
go East.
East. I mean East.
East.
They confused me with the
Right.
locations.
No, you're good. Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking East because Dolphins and Bills.
Right.
I didn't know if Dolphins were South or East, but they're East.
No, they're East. Yeah.
They're South, but they're East.
I
But
don't
they're
know.
also North.
I should have known that. Like I knew they weren't South.
No, you're fine.
I watched that division for like what 2-3 years.
Right.
I don't watch it much anymore, but
No.
Texans,
I think
man,
that's fair.
they're great. Yeah.
They had a pretty good game cooked up against the Bears. Yeah, Roquan Smith, a late pick there off a tip to set up a Bears field goal at the buzzer to beat the Texans. So, I mean, that team's hanging in there. I
Mhm.
don't know if Davis Mills is truly the answer. I think if they're in that top pick range this year, they go with Stroud or Bryce
Yeah.
Young.
No doubt. Yeah. They've got to get another quarterback.
But, big day for Damian Pierce, the rookie out of Florida. I think that's something that they have a lot of excitement for. They're trying to ease them in a little bit with Rex Burkhead early, but I can only speak to fantasy really. I didn't watch much of that game, but he had his best, most productive day fantasy wise. So, I mean, that's, a product of yards and touches and catches, things like that. So,
Okay. We're talking Texans. What are we expecting this weekend?
No idea. Who are
they're
they
going to beat the
playing?
Chargers if Herbert looked like
Chargers.
Oh.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
In Houston,
Chargers.
I think we could very much lose that game because I almost don't want Herbert to play this week, honestly. As bad as he looked, that's his fourth lowest completion percentage of his career, second worst under 50 passes. I mean, you can't show me anything on tape except for some deep throw he made when we were down 20 points for no reason that looked amazing. But when you consider the injury risk there, I think he should sit until he's 100%. I don't care if we lose 10 games this year. We're about to pay him $50 million a year in a couple months, so I want him as healthy as possible.
And
if
this
the
is
injury's out,
yeah.
I'm
I
not doing
mean,
anything anyway. So
you're in week 3. I mean, it's a long season. You can still, especially with the West not being great right now. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of opportunity to let him rest up for a week, come back versus the Browns. That should be a very winnable game. I mean,
Right.
the Browns haven't looked as bad as actually, when we went through this a couple of weeks ago, we were kind of thinking they could be doing like they have. Jets is a surprising loss, but I mean,
That was a fluke, honestly. I mean, I don't know if you caught that game last weekend, but they gave up 2 TDs in like a minute 50. That's one of those chalk it up to any given Sunday type deals. I don't think that's a true reflection of that Browns team.
And that's the good thing about the NFL too. Like any given Sunday is, I mean,
right.
everybody can compete with each other. So,
especially in
it's a
the
great product.
North. So, I mean, that division, they go get a big division win against Pittsburgh, and they're seemingly right on track again. So,
yeah. You beat the Panthers. So.
Hey, we'll win. We win.
Yeah,
We win on Sundays.
Talk to me about the Panthers, Bailey. I didn't go out on a limb like I wanted to pick them on the Slate show. I thought they would win. I bet on them, and they came through. Any more renewed hope with?
No,
I won't mention Matt Rule because he's not the reason why. But yeah, what are you thinking with them in the win column?
I mean, that still was not a pretty game at all. The defense obviously played a lot better than it has past couple of weeks. I mean, the defense has played pretty great. Excuse me. Defense has played pretty good this season. I mean, offense is they'll have a big play here and there. Obviously, Laviska, whatever his name is, with a long touchdown reception.
Laviska,
yeah. I can't pronounce his name, but I mean, it's. I don't know how to describe this team. Disappointment. No clue what you're going to happen. I mean, we had our first forced turnover this game, and it turned into 6. So might need to do that more often. I'm still not expecting a lot out of this season, but a win's a win. I'm going to be happy about it. I'd like to see McCaffrey get more not more touches, but better stats.
I saw somebody on my Facebook this week complaining about McCaffrey, saying he's overrated and he gets injured too often.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to look at underperforming on offense, Baker has the worst QBR in the league. So I think we could start there. And I'm the big believer in Baker. So I don't know if the blame can be fully shifted on the guy that I think gets a lot of heat for being hurt in the past, and I think now he's fine. I think with Baker playing more to his true potential, the offense is better, and as a result, you're going to see CMC get going. But yeah,
I mean, that was the main thing about him is his injury history, but like you can't help
which
that.
no, I think if you harp on that, that's not going to help what he can actually contribute now that he is healthy.
Yeah.
And I think he still is an elite running back, so the
And
potential's there for that offense.
those injuries come with a terrible offensive line. Like,
And when you're the only weapon on your
only
offense
option.
too, like
And luckily
that's
Baker,
gonna happen.
Right.
Baker is athletic enough to be able to get her out of the pocket, get it to his receivers and stuff like that. So that's obviously taken off a lot of Christian's shoulders, but I would still ideally like to see him get some more yardage, not just because he's my running back in a couple of fantasy leagues, but just to prove that he is, when healthy, he's one of the top 5, if not top 3 running backs in the nation.
Right, and you earn that respect by handling a big workload, and thankfully now it's not as much of a necessity with the receiver talent and a better quarterback who can actually move in the pocket. But yeah, I mean, I do get it to an extent, but I think if you want to talk about the offense, then it's got to start with Baker at least through 3 weeks. Going from one of the more statistically disappointing QBs to, I think, in my opinion, the MVP frontrunner,
Definitely.
Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. They just destroyed the Commanders. It was 24-0. Commanders got 8 late when no one cared. I mean, that was a road division game. We've seen a lot of upsets on the road. I mean, we mentioned the Chiefs off the top. That was a big road test for them. They beat the Vikings. We all saw Monday night at home. They impressed us all, and they go out and they almost played better. I mean, that offense, Devonta Smith, catchless week 1, he was dominant on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think it just speaks to how dangerous that duo is with him and now A.J. Brown in town.
Yeah,
One of them can play elite level, and they just blow people out.
Yeah, I mean, they got a good offense. They got Miles Sanders coming out the back. Jalen Hurts is obviously a threat to run the ball, and he's obviously showing that he can throw the ball with 2 of the best so far wide receivers of the season. Yeah, they're frisky. I wouldn't even say frisky. I think they're the best team in the league outside of the Bills or Dolphins. But
yeah, I think NFC is fair.
yeah,
And I'm one of the people that has been banging the Eagles drum pretty early, pretty often in the preseason too. And I think Jalen Hurts is a step forward through 12 quarters that I think a lot of people saw coming. Beezy, what do you think about the Eagles and where they stand in the NFC?
I mean, they're just dominating right now, so you can't get any better than where they're at. I feel like they're definitely a definite front runner. I'm looking at something here where it's saying Hurts is the first ever player to pass for 900 plus yards and 150 rush yards in 3 games. That's just huge credit to that guy because I thought he would be a bust or like he would not. He wasn't.
He wouldn't
even,
be this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I don't even think he was projected to be a great NFL quarterback because he's never had the arm, but he is with the weapons he has.
Yeah, I mean, mixed results early to say the least. I think there were times when he limited the team himself, but now he's doing the opposite. He's elevating this team to heights they haven't seen in a while. I think with Dak hurt, certainly they've got to be looked at as in control of the NFC East. I mean, we do see some just insanity of that division, but I think they showed they're 24 points better than the Commanders at their place Sunday. The Giants still employ Daniel Jones, so they're not winning anything.
Well, they're winning right now.
Okay, they're beating Cooper Rush.
Saquon just scored.
That helps the fantasy team. But yeah, I mean, as much as I love Saquon, the Giants, they're a QB away. I think they have a promising defense, but if you can't score, the defense doesn't matter. So yeah, I think right now, as we sit here week 3 in the books, it's got to be the Eagles that class of the NFC.
Yeah. I mean, Packers aren't anything. Vikings they obviously saw what they had against the Eagles.
Tampa's got some injuries, which to be fair, I mean, so do the Packers, honestly. But
I mean, 49ers are weird.
Yeah.
And then
I think,
are the Rams NFC, AFC, NFC?
They're NFC West.
Yeah.
They just look like an AFC team to me. I don't know why.
They got the AFC. We're out there too. So
yeah, so they look weird.
Right.
That's what everybody thought the Bills were going to be the best team in the league, and then any given Saturday, Sunday, whatever the day is for NFL.
And the Rams bounce back a bit. They went into Arizona, win a game by like 8 points. So That's a huge road division win, as tough as that division's been. Class of the NFL for years. Maybe the AFC West, if they can get their stuff together, can overtake them. But that's still a tough division to win within. We see it in the AFC North all the time. Those teams are pretty evenly matched. But another quarterback did just a ton on Sunday is Lamar Jackson, playing for a contract. 5 total TDs, and they go into Foxborough and get the win. Unfortunately, Mac left late with a high ankle sprain. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. He'll be out for weeks at this point. It may be surgical, it might not be. They're still weighing that, I think, right now. But I mean, if we end up seeing Hoyer or Bailey Zappi for an extended period of time, then I'll be right about the Patriots, unfortunately, due to injury. But they're going to be just horrible in a division with 2 of the top 3 teams in the AFC right now. So I mean, they have no path to the playoffs at all. And you got to think the tail end of Belichick's coaching career in New England, they lose a lackluster franchise quarterback. So I don't know what direction they're going to be in, but the Ravens, responding to the collapse against Miami last week, the offense was dominant, the defense not as good. They had some injuries in the back as well. But I mean, have we written off the Ravens a little bit too quickly?
I don't think necessarily. I mean, Lamar Jackson is still Lamar Jackson. He's probably second, if not in first place, depending on who you are with Hurts with MVP race. I mean, he's proven that he deserves a contract.
There, yeah.
I don't think you can necessarily write them all, especially the way that their division is playing out right now. You have no clue who's going to come out of there, so I don't think we necessarily write them off completely after a miracle comeback by the Dolphins. So I think they're fine.
And the Dolphins are a good team as well.
Yeah.
Like that's not a bad loss in any way.
Yeah. Right. I think we are a little bit of this victim of this week to week, the takes and things like that. I mean, that could be.
And we're 3 games
on
in
Philly right now. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So 17 a lot will change.
Now. Yeah. Right. We're gonna look back on some of the stuff we're talking about right now and just laugh at it. But yeah, absolutely. And the Sunday night game sucked. I think one of the better games Sunday was Packers Bucks. We talked about it a second ago. A lot of injuries, unfortunately, take away a little bit of the shine from this game. But Brady was Brady, vintage down the stretch, got him down the end zone, throwing to guys he's 20 years older than in the end zone, and they couldn't get a 2-point conversion, and ultimately ended that game. But you guys surprised to see that close of a game between Rodgers and Brady again?
No, they both got good defenses. I figured it was going to be a dogfight anyway. Obviously, Rodgers is still trying to figure out his wide receivers, but it's a defensive battle until the end. And that proved the failed 2-point conversion after they didn't get the
delay game in there too.
So
and they really should have gotten back to back. Honestly, it was very strange how they couldn't get a play in there. But But yes, I mean we talk about Philly being the class of the NFC maybe right now, but these are 2 teams that if they get healthy and get rolling,
I mean they're the expectation.
Yeah.
So
right.
You can never count them out whatsoever.
They will get there. I mean, Bucks impact. I mean, you got Rodgers and Brady. I mean, they're going to be successful. So if they're not successful, that is more surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it was a low-scoring game Sunday, but another instant classic between those 2. So yeah. Anything else across the NFL from you 2?
Not really. I mean, finally in the win column like we talked about, but I don't expect many more.
Are you committed to Jacksonville now, Beezy?
Yeah, I am.
We could have saw that coming.
All right.
I need to start watching
Jacksonville now.
Oh, we might have to split 50-50 come week 12.
Who's their head coach?
Okay. All right. For 2 months, we will get Jaguars analysis from Beezy before his loyalties are split between teams. And actually, well, no, they're the same conference. So you'll be a big AFC football fan.
I will be a big AFC football fan. Yes.
Later.
I've been a big AFC football fan, except for the last year or 2.
Houston counts as football, but
I mean, when Deshaun was playing,
Yeah.
So
sure. And they still did that last year. So. But so that's gonna do it for us this week. A little bit of a long-winded episode. We appreciate you sticking around. If you're still with us, we're gonna check on Jacob's quality of life at our earliest convenience. And yeah, if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, you know where to find us. And if you want to look and see Jacob's empty chair, and hopefully he's in good health, we're on YouTube as well, the 1009. The pics we've referenced throughout the podcast, you can find those on our Twitter at the 1009. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Beezy, joining us again. And we'll talk to you guys on Thursday with the Slate Show.
Yep. Deuces.
See ya.
Subscribe.